Okay, Díomh Galéir agus fáilte go dtí an cruinniú seo a nocht. Good evening, everybody. A very warm welcome is extended to all parents and guardians that join us tonight, and a special warm welcome to all our students who may be in Idirvleen or Tríomhlín who are joining us tonight. So you're all very, very welcome to this evening's webinar. The purpose of this evening's webinar is to look at the senior cycle subject options that are available to students in Gael Colostro and Clore and Ennis Community College in the coming academic year. A number of key points happen in education, and your son or daughter is now at one of those, and that's the transition point between lower secondary junior cycle and upper secondary senior cycle, and entering the leaving certificate cycle. The information we're going to present tonight will be available to you on the Student Hub, on the subject option page on the Student Hub. And the information regarding that, the links will be sent to you tomorrow. We're also recording this evening's webinar, and a recording will be available to you tomorrow also. The slides that we will use, they will also be published on the Student Hub. So please don't feel under any pressure to keep up and make notes. You will be aware that we sent some information recently to you, specifically the CAT4 scores. And I would remind you that the CAT4 information that we sent to you is only one information source that should be considered around this. There are many other factors that must be considered in addition to it. You will recall that the CAT4 data that we sent indicated some likely results or indicators for senior cycle subjects. And again, I just remind you that they are not predictions. Obviously, a lot happens that enables students to achieve to the highest level possible, and that is exactly what we want for all our students. So they're not predictions, but we felt that they may help you and your son and daughter when considering what subjects may be best to choose at 5th and 6th year. So again, it's the purpose of tonight to talk about Leaving Cert subjects. I'm delighted to be joined by Miss Moira Murray, who is our guidance counsellor here at the school. Miss Murray has produced a very, very comprehensive presentation, which will take us through all the key factors and considerations that students, parents and guardians should consider before selecting subjects. I would caution that it is important to spend time considering all these matters. The application for subjects, the subject choice form, needs to be returned to the school by 12 noon next Monday. And there is no prizes for getting it in before that time. So there is no rush before that time to get it in. And I really would like to emphasize that everybody should take the time, should discuss all the subjects that are available, should consider all the information that is available, and make the best and most informed choice that they possibly can. After Ms. Murray's presentation, I will just speak a little bit about how that choice comes about and how the process works and how the application works. So I'm delighted to hand over to Ms. Murray.
Great, thanks very much, Mr. Donoghue. I'm just going to share my screen and bring up the presentation there. Okay, great. So as Mr. Donoghue said, my name is Moira Murray and I'm the guidance counsellor here in Ennis Community College. And I'm going to be giving a brief overview on subject choice tonight. Okay, so some things that you need to consider. So you need to consider the following factors when you are choosing your subjects. So the first thing that everybody needs to consider is, do you actually enjoy the subject? Do you like the subject? Is it something that you're actually going to find that you take your books out and it's no big deal, you actually enjoy what you're doing? Are you interested in it? Is it a subject that you have an interest in outside of school, or is it something that you've always been interested in, whether that's history or physics or one of those subjects? Does it come easy to you? What I mean by that is, a lot of the time students might come into me and they'll say, oh, miss, I'm really struggling with history at the moment. It's just an awful lot of information. It's very text heavy, and I'm finding it rather difficult. But what I'd say to a student in that position is then, well, maybe don't consider that particular subject if it's something that you found that you have been struggling through junior cycle with. Now, things not to consider when you're choosing your subject as well. So pick a subject thinking that'll be an easy H1. Most subjects have the same proportion of H1, H2s, etc. So that's a myth. There's no such thing as, oh, I'll take home ec now because it's an easy H1. You know, each subject will require work. Choose a subject because all your friends are choosing it. I often find that some students think, oh, sure, all my friends are in that class and, you know, I'm just picking it, so I'll be in with them. Think for yourself. At the end of the day, you know, you're the one who's going to be going on doing whatever it is you want to do with your life, and your friends really shouldn't influence that choice. You can hang out with your friends at lunchtime, holidays, lots of time for hanging out with friends. You're picking a subject because you like the teacher. Make sure you like the subject as well, because teachers can leave, they can switch, they can do different levels. So don't follow the teacher, follow the subject, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to ask you all to do a little exercise for me now. It's nothing too taxing. I want you to write your name down with your non-writing hand. So if you're right-handed, write it with your left. If you're left-handed, write it with your right. So I'm just going to give you a little minute to do that. Okay, I'm sure you all have that done now. Now write it with your good hand. So if you're right-handed, write it with your right hand. And if you're left-handed, write it with your left hand. So you're all very quick learners here, so I'm sure you all have this done by now. So the exercise there that I was showing you was like, you know, how does it feel when you're writing with your left hand if you're right-handed, or vice versa? Have a think about that. How does it actually feel? Like, I'm sure some of you might have broken your hand at some point in your life, hopefully not, or sprained it and had to write with the other hand. Yeah, it's not very comfortable. And the lesson of the exercise is that your good hand comes naturally to you, okay? And what I mean by that is, you know, there are some subjects that your son or daughter are just actually naturally good at. Like if I take myself, for example, I was never a scientific maths kind of person. I really struggled with the sciences, but I loved English and history and the humanities. So I actually didn't choose a science subject myself. Because I knew that I didn't need it in terms of entry requirements. And I knew that I would just struggle with the science subject if I had to do one. So I went with what comes naturally to me, which would be the history and the business and subjects like that. So subjects, right? You have to do what comes naturally. So it's easier and it's more comfortable for you. And why make your life more difficult? You know, if you really struggle with maths, don't pick physics. You know, if you really struggle with retaining information, don't choose history. So really have a think about this, and, you know, think about what comes naturally to you and what you're going to find easier when you're studying. Now, aptitudes also come into it. And as Mr. O'Donoghue was saying, you have had your Cat 4 testing, but generally speaking, a student, if I'm speaking to them, they'll know what subjects they're good at and what subjects that they feel come naturally to them. So all students have different strengths. Choose subjects in which you are likely to get good grades. You are also more likely to want to continue with these subjects when you leave school. And again, I'll use myself as an example. I chose history and I went on to study history when I was in university. I would have had a lot of friends who chose music as a subject as well and would have gone on to study music. So play to your strengths, basically, when it comes to subject choice. So what actually are your favorite subjects? And this is something that we kind of can overlook sometimes when it comes to thinking about what subjects do we actually want to do. And my advice to students would be to write down your favorite subjects from the junior cycle. Now, not including your maths, Irish or English, because unfortunately you don't have a choice. They are the compulsory subjects, unless of course you're exempt from Irish. So when you are sitting down and you're studying and you're looking at these options, write down your favorite junior cycle options, the ones that you really enjoyed, and then correspond with the Leaving Cert options. And hopefully there's a crossover there for you, and there should be. Now, when it comes to career and further education choices, so apart from your Irish, your English and maths, other subjects can be required from some courses and careers. So check these subject requirements with the course provider, and it's your responsibility to do this. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. But just to give an example, if you wanted to study veterinary, okay, you'd have to take chemistry. Or if you wanted to do nursing, biology will be a required subject. So it's important to know what the required subjects are. Okay, so Qualifax. This is a fantastic resource for people to look up information. Qualifax.ie, it has all the information that a parent, student, guardian could possibly need. And if you're looking at the home page here now, you can see the green button down there on the right-hand side that says search all courses. Okay, so this is the button that you need to be looking for. Search all courses. Okay, so this looks complicated, but it's actually not. So you see there where it says course title or keywords. Now you could put sport in there, arts, psychology, business, anything at all that you're interested in goes into the search bar there. You're looking for higher education CAO, okay, because you're going to be looking at level 7, level 6, 7 and 8 courses. And university, if you're going to university or an IT. The one really there that you need to look at is keywords, okay, because once you put something into there and hit the return key, you get the courses, and then you just click on the course that you're interested in, okay, and it'll bring you to this page here on whichever course it is that you're interested in. And what you have to check down here, I have it in red for you, is leaving cert entry requirements, okay? And it'll tell you exactly which subjects that you need. And this is something I can't stress. It's stress enough. It's so, so, so important that you do this before you make your subject choices. Because the last thing anybody wants is for somebody to say, well, actually, I want to study psychology, and biology is one of the required subjects, but you don't have biology. So it just makes your life an awful lot easier to do your own little bit of research, your own little bit of homework, and actually look up the courses that you're interested in, because it doesn't take too much time at all. And there's also Careers Portal as well. So it's a very good website just for information, and especially for people who are unsure of whether they want to do modern language or not, or maybe a science subject. So this is exactly what you need to be looking at, is subject entry requirements. Okay, so the sciences. So we need a pass in at least one laboratory science subject if you're going to apply for any of the following courses. So engineering, pharmacy, human nutrition, medical laboratory, paramedical, podiatry, radiography, veterinary, physiotherapy, nursing, medical, science areas at university. And again, you must check the course requirements for these courses because they could change, okay? So that's the best advice I can give. Anything you're interested in, you check the course requirements. And the sciences, again, a pass in at least one laboratory science subject is needed if you're applying for physical ed and maths in DCU, design and manufacture in UL. Both require a science subject, so your biology, your physics, chemistry, whichever, okay? But again, you must check the course requirements there. Now, so I'm just going to give a brief run through the subjects, okay? So chemistry, what would you need chemistry and what's it required for? So human nutrition, again, as we said, in TUD, dentistry in UCC, medical and health sciences, UCC, medicine in UCC, veterinary science, UCD, pharmacy, UCC and RCSI, and medicine in UCC. And what that means is for those courses, chemistry is a required subject. So if you don't have chemistry, and even if you get the points, say you get 550 points, but if you don't have the required subject they want, they're not going to offer you a place on that course, okay? Now, biology. So biology is required for veterinary medicine in UCD, elective biology and home economics in St. Angela's and Sligo, genetics in UCC, human health and disease in TCD, health science or dietetic studies or occupational studies or physiotherapy studies in Letterkenny. It's also very useful then for your PE teaching with biology in DCU. So again, it's a required subject regardless of points. Physics. Physics is required for theoretical physics in TCD, and it's very useful for anybody considering courses in engineering or electronics. Now, your compulsory subjects, the ones that you have no choice, but you have to do them. So are there any subjects you need to do to gain entry into your dream college course or your career? And do you like this subject? So let's pick nursing as an example. For nursing, you have to have biology. Now, if you're a student who struggled with biology in junior cert, maybe that's something that you actually need to think about and say, well, is this really something that I can see myself doing in the future if I'm struggling with it at junior cycle, okay? So that's something that you need to consider. So when you do look up the entry requirements for the courses, just check the subjects that you need, and can you see yourself doing them, and can you see yourself, I suppose, doing them with ease, something that's not going to make your life difficult. Okay, so third language, UCC, NUI Galway, UCD, Maynooth University, Royal College of Surgeons, they all require a pass in a third language for most of their courses. Now we're offering French here in the school, so that would be your French. Other colleges require it for certain courses with a large language component. For example, some of those courses would be European Studies, Languages and Marketing, Hotel Management, Languages and International Tourism. So most students choose to study a foreign language as it ensures that they do not rule out any college where a third language is an entry requirement. If you want to keep all your options open, choose to study at least one additional language. So if you're somebody who really doesn't know what they want to do when they go on to fifth year senior cycle and on, you should take French, because it just opens a lot more doors for you, you know. Now, if you're somebody who really struggles with it and thinks, oh God, I'm definitely not going to need French in the future, well, that's okay. But again, I go back to what I said earlier, check the course requirements, okay? A third language is required for entry to the National University of Ireland colleges for most degree programs in arts, human sciences, social science, medicine, and health sciences, and some other degrees. So again, it's all about doing your homework and checking, does your course require it? Now, students may be officially exempt due to the recommendation of an educational psychologist. The exemption is granted for many reasons, including being diagnosed with dyslexia, or because the psychologist feels the student may benefit from additional learning support. If the student is officially exempt, this does not affect their opportunities to apply for courses in any college, even where a language is required for entry to these courses. This is the case in some colleges, but not with all. Exemptions are not accepted for courses where the student will have to study an actual language, okay? Now, other conditions under which the exemption can be granted to NUI colleges include if the student is born outside the country, if the student is exempt from Irish on the grounds of a specific learning difficulty, they are automatically exempt from a third language, NUI only. If a student comes to Ireland over the age of 11, they are not required to study Irish, but are required to study a third language. And if that is the case, you just send in a form to say that you're exempt from Irish, and that's something that I will help the student with in sixth year. Okay, so again, your third language. So entry to the cadetships in the Defence Forces requires a third language. NCAD requires a third language or art. Many science and engineering courses include, for example, technical French or German from scratch. So again, if you're looking up a course and it says that there's a language component to it, you can check through your Qualifax portal, which I showed you earlier, how much French or German or whatever language it is actually in the course, through the course content there, okay? And again, if you're someone who struggles with it, that might actually put you off doing that course, but it's better to know before you put it down. Okay, so Trinity College, University of Limerick, DCU, TUD, sorry, Institute of Technology, unless it is a specific course requirement, a pass in Irish will suffice, okay? And these are colleges then and courses that don't need a third language. So UCC, there are 23 courses where you don't need a third language, NUIG, 23 again, UCD, 25, and Maynooth, 38. And again, you won't know until you go and you check the entry requirements. So it all comes back to the entry requirements, and just checking and making sure that you don't need it if you're not choosing one. So does my future college require a third language for entry? So you can actually click on any of these logos here and it'll bring you to the requirements page, and it'll tell you. And again, Qualifax is there in the middle because that's where you get all the information regarding to every college and university. Now, required subjects. So when you are looking at the entry requirements to the course that you want to do, make a list, okay, of the subjects. And does my possible future career have any required or desirable subjects? So if they're saying, you know, biology is an advantage or chemistry is an advantage, home economics, whatever it is, you know, you need to write that down, and that needs to be factored into your decision making, because it'll make your life easier if you are going on to study in a certain field. Now, so I'm going to move on now, and I'm going to discuss the actual subjects that we have on offer here and just give you a brief overview of them. So the first one is French. So preconditions, so you should have studied it in your junior cycle, okay? Your marking notes, so there's an oral component, which is 25%. Higher and ordinary level have similar course content. Oral and written skills are of particular importance at higher level. Teaching, translation, interpreting, journalism, media, the IT sector are possible careers. Useful information, so good working knowledge of a European language enhances the employment prospects in all career areas, okay? And again, if you're unsure, you can always look at the exam papers, and I'd recommend people doing that for certain subjects. So if there's a particular subject and you're thinking, God, I'm not too sure about that, you can always go online, go onto examinations.ie, and you will be able to look at any exam papers there, and sometimes that can help students as well. Okay, so biology, requirements and interest in living things in the environment and fieldwork. Course content, so you've 22 mandatory practicals, the study of life, the cell, organism, extensive vocabulary to familiarize. Lots of career possibilities here, medicine, veterinary, dentistry, but to name a few. Useful information, so recording information and drawing diagrams is important, okay, so that's one component of biology that you need to know about. Biology isn't the easiest of the sciences. There is a lot of knowledge to learn and process. So sometimes people think, you know, oh, I'll pick a science and sure, biology is easy. You know, it's not that easy if you don't have the mind for it, and if you're not really good at science. You know, people think it's easy. Again, I'd encourage you to go and look at the examinations.ie and look up all the exam scripts, and you'll be able to see what kind of stuff is on the paper. Okay, chemistry. So requirements, a good aptitude for maths, reasonable problem solving skills, course content, history of famous scientists and discoveries, high detail of the periodic table, interesting and accurate chemical analysis, organic chemistry, chemicals in everyday life, and water analysis. And as you can see, there's lots of career possibilities. So pharmacy, ag science, medicine, engineering, lots more as well. Useful information, pay attention to course content at your junior cycle, have good background knowledge, ordinary level contains far less calculations, okay? Now, physics, requirements, good aptitude for maths, problem solving skills. The course content, 24 mandatory experiments, light, sound, mechanics, temperature, heat, electricity. You can read them all there. There's quite a lot in it. And again, your career possibilities, electrician, doctor, dentist, engineer, computer tech, programmer, etc. Useful information, junior cert honors maths. Students do well in leaving cert physics. So if you're somebody who has a good aptitude for maths and you found that, you know, you liked maths at junior cycle and you were doing higher level and you breezed through it, well, then maybe physics is a subject that you could consider. Now, if you're somebody who found it difficult, maybe you should consider not taking physics. Okay, so your home economics then. Completion of the junior cycle is an advantage, okay, but not necessary, but an advantage. And the course content then, food studies 45%, resource management and consumer studies 25%, social studies 10%, elective 20%, and they do a food journal as well. And career possibilities, food industry, tourism, clothing and design, health and social services, interior design and education. Useful information, some material is designated higher level only. There is no practical cookery exam for the leaving cert. So even though they do a journal where they write up about practicals, they don't actually do the practicals, okay? Now, there are bonus points for higher level maths, okay? Any student who achieves a grade H6 or higher will earn an extra 25 points in their leaving cert, but you have to get H6 or over. So even if you pass and you're doing higher level maths, you won't get allocated the extra marks unless you get a H6 grade or above. Foundation level maths is recognised by many colleges for matriculation purposes, but not for points. A small number of courses allow points for foundation level maths. Now again, where are you going to find out that information? Qualifax, searching for the course and looking at the entry requirements, and it'll tell you exactly which levels and what subjects you need, and it'll specify then, you know, if they take foundation level maths or not. Okay, so junior cycle business studies is an advantage for business studies, and keeping up to date with current affairs and the news is always good when it comes to business studies. Course content: people in business, business conflicts and resolution, enterprise, management of business, the Irish business system, EU and international business. Banking careers then: banking, insurance, administration, marketing, business management, human resource management, among many others. Business is a huge sector to get into with many, many jobs that can come from doing business. Useful information, useful to anybody contemplating starting his or her own business in the future, very practical and interesting to somebody of a business mind. And I just had somebody in today from Sligo IT actually, who studied business, and she went on to be the marketing manager for Sligo IT. So she was coming around talking to all the students today about what's on offer. So businesses, it's very vast, you know. Okay, so art and history. So our art history is a component of your art, so you need to be interested in that part of it as well. Course content: practical lessons, developing skills in observational drawing, painting and craft work, at least one visit to a gallery or museum, imaginative composition or still life 25%, design or craft work 25%, figure life drawing 13%, art history and appreciation exam and written assignments 37%. Career possibilities: animation, art historian, art teaching, art therapist, archaeology, architecture, computer design, industrial design, fashion, costume design, craft work, curator, graphic design. The list is endless actually when it comes to the arts, and you know, movie production, prosthetics, working on film sets, absolutely endless. Useful information: examinations may be taken in higher or ordinary level in each of the above areas. A portfolio of artwork may be required for entry into some college courses. Students should aim to have some of their portfolio completed in 5th year. So if you're a student and you're interested in art, and perhaps you want to go to LSAD in Limerick, and you want to do the art course there, they're going to ask you for an interview, okay? And bring a portfolio of your work with you, which will be a mix of your drawings and sketches, pictures of ceramics or whatever it is you've been working on. So if you're somebody interested in art, just bear that in mind, that you will have to produce a portfolio. Now, music. So requirements: being good at performance is desirable, okay? The course content: listening 25%, composing 25%, performing 25%. The voice is also an instrument, so don't worry if you don't play an instrument. If you're a good singer, you can sing and you can get somebody else to accompany you for that. Performance or music technology 25%. Now, career possibilities: primary teaching, second level teaching, sound technician, any area of the music business, performing or production. And again, the list is endless there when it comes to what you can do with your music as well. Okay. Now, so construction studies. So requirements: interest in buildings and the built environment, aptitude for design and practical work. Course content: so you have a woodwork practical exam, 25%, and it's 4 hours long. Items of furniture: using at least 2 joinery, wood turning, and all the laminating and wood carving. Theory paper then is worth 50%, and the topics include Ireland's historic buildings, rural and urban plannings, etc. You can see that there's quite a lot in the theory paper as well. So career possibilities then: carpentry, electrician, electrical engineer, engineer plumbing. Useful information: not having done your junior cycle woodwork is not a disadvantage. So sometimes you'll have students come to you and say, God, you know, I'd actually really like to do woodwork, but I didn't do it for my junior cycle. No, you can still do it. If you're somebody who's good with their hands and good practically, it could be a good subject for you. So I wouldn't rule it out. I definitely consider it. Okay, so DCG. Requirements: junior cycle, technical graphics, interest in construction or engineering, good at maths and problem solving, interest in freehand sketching, computer graphics and CAD, neat and has good attention to detail. The course content then, your 3-hour written exam, research and design project in 6th year, drawings, portfolios to include plane and solid geometry, building applications, engineering applications, and a compulsory computer-aided design project, your CAD. Possible careers then, engineering, construction, industrial design, interior design, and architecture. Useful information then regarding this subject. Studying of DCG is a distinct advantage for all apprenticeships. So if you're somebody who's thinking about going down the apprenticeship route, this could be a subject for you. Okay, so requirements then for this would be technical drawing. Sorry, the top of the screen is cut off here when I'm looking. Technology or technology and advantage. Course content theory section, 50% ICT. Study of computers, their operations and softwares, control systems, PIC, microcontrollers, robotics, control systems, build your own circuit boards, interfacing and programming, materials, in-depth study of materials, selection, classification, and testing methods. Project, 50%, similar to junior cert, only to a higher standard, much more research and a higher quality folder expected. So possible careers then, product design, robotics, mechanical, electronic, engineering. Useful information, it's more or less a continuation on from the junior cycle technology. Okay, so if you did it at junior cycle, it's a continuation on of that. Okay, engineering, a very popular subject. Requirements, technical junior cycle subject is essential for this one. Okay, so if it's something that you haven't done in junior cycle, you know, you would be wise not to be thinking about it for your leaving cert then. Course content expected to design for themselves, 12-week design and make project for 25%, a 6-hour practice exam for 25%, a 3-hour theory exam for 50%. You have a practical element then, and you have your theory as well. So possible careers then, mechanic, panel beater, sheet metal worker, fabricator, welder, designer, architecture, and again the list goes on there. It's quite a popular subject, engineering, with vast career possibilities which are always growing as well. Now, so geography, a subject that many of you would be familiar with. So course content, you have 3 core units in the geography syllabus. 1, patterns and processes in the physical environment. 2, your regional geography. 3, geographical investigation, so that's your field work. Okay, and then electives then will be patterns and processes in economic activities or the human environment, which is very popular again. Career possibilities, tourism, transport, travel, environmental science, politics, town planning, and again the list goes on there with those. So useful information, higher level elective options only. Okay, global interdependence, geoecology, culture and identity, or atmosphere, ocean, environment. Now, so your history. Course content, so 5 topics, each worth 20%. 2 Irish history topics and 2 world event topics, plus 1 research study report. Learn to support arguments with relevant evidence. Learn about people, countries, and cultures. Learn how to separate fact from fiction. Insight into your own identity and tradition. So the research study, the RSR, the student gets to pick their own topic there. And that's a huge benefit because it's something that they'll actually be interested in, you know, whether it's the Renine ambush or something locally that they maybe have heard stories about before themselves. But that really helps when the student is interested in the topic themselves. Career possibilities. So arts, journalism, web-based research, museums, tourism, local and national government, broadcasting companies, banking, teaching, etc. Useful information. Studying history sharpens communication, writing, and research skills. History develops an ability to think independently. History gives you a better understanding of the world we live in. And again, if it's something you're interested in and you're passionate about, you will do very well in. If it's a topic that you, or a subject that you've struggled with in junior cycle, you would find it quite difficult because it is very text heavy. Okay, so subject choice for you guys, that's a run through of them. What you should do is list in order of preference, okay, your desired leaving cert subjects. So excluding your maths, English, Irish, and LCVP. So when you're actually going to make the decision, and maybe you're in between 1 or 2 subjects, you need to look again at which ones come easy to you, Which ones are you interested in? What one can you see yourself enjoying? Which one will actually help you down the line for future career? And which ones do you actually need for your course entry? So make sure again to go back to Qualifax and look at your entry requirements. So very sorry for all the information overload there, but the information that I have is correct as of now, March 2022. But it is important again to just check that and to make sure that whatever subject or whatever course that you're looking at the subject entry requirements. So thank you very much. I'm going to hand you back to Mr. O'Donoghue. Thank you.
Maura, thank you very much for that comprehensive presentation. And one thing for me that struck me was the interest, the subjects you're interested in and you like. And I think it's obvious you do better at them. And I don't think it should be lost on anybody. This is 2 years of your life you're talking about, 5th and 6th year. And if I was spending 2 years of my life having chosen something, I'd like to choose something that I'm interested in and that I like. And I would probably do better at it too. So that is a hugely significant consideration. All those slides are now available on the Student Hub. So after the meeting, if you'd like to log on, you can download all these slides tonight. And there's a lot of information on them. I'm just going to turn off your screen and more.
Oh yeah, sorry. Stop sharing, is it? Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
I forgive you, it's okay. And what we'll do now is I'm just going to bring you very briefly through the Student Hub, just where information is, and we can talk about the rest of it as we go through it. So I'm going to just share this screen here just so you can see my information. So you should be looking now at the front page of the Student Hub. If Maura gives me the thumbs up, I'll be able to see that. So this is the Student Hub, and you can access that through our website, Gaeltacht or enniscommunitycollege.com, one or the other. If you go to Senior Cycle up on the top here, and the second one down, you get Senior Cycle Options, and that's the page that you want with tonight's details on it, and some further information. So the recording of the webinar will go somewhere here on the top. The second button is the subject choice form. The third button here is the presentation that Ms. Murray has just presented to you. And first, I just want to draw your attention to each of these drop-down buttons here. If you click into any of these buttons, it will open information about the subject and a short little video as well, just giving you details on each of the subjects. I note that Sunday night is census night, so parents will be busy completing the census form and considering that in the next few days and getting ready to complete that. Students may spend their time considering what subjects they'd like to do at Senior Cycle and begin to decide on how I might fill out my census form on Sunday night, which for students, of course, is the subject choice form. And it is very, very important that parents and guardians are involved in that process. So just to run through the subject choice form, this opens up on the link button here. So this is the form here. The top bit just explains how it all works. So how it works is as follows. There are 14 subjects on choice at Senior Cycle at 5th year this year. All subjects will be offered subject to demand. And what students are asked to do is that they're asked to nominate 7 of those subjects. And very, very importantly, students are asked to nominate those 7 subjects in order of preference, where number 1, choice 1, is the most desired subject. Choice 2 is the second most desired subjects, working all the way down to 7. So out of the 7 subjects selected, number 7 is the least desired preference. It is really important that all 7 subjects are nominated. And the reason for that is that every effort possible will be made to offer the top 4 preferences to each student, but that is not always possible. And when it's not possible, we will then move to the 5th choice. If that's not possible, then we move on to the 6th choice, and finally we move to the 7th choice. So therefore, if a student just selects subjects in any order, then it is very likely they will not get their most desired subjects. And once the process moves beyond the point of building option lines, changing subjects becomes incredibly difficult, if not impossible. So now is the time to consider carefully what subjects students would like to study for the next 2 years at Senior Cycle. So that effectively is what it says on the top. The final bit, I suppose, or the final 2 bits For students in Gaeltacht and Clore, where you select a subject and we're in a position to offer that through Gaelga, we certainly will do that. And if it's a case where you're a student in Gaeltacht and Clore and the subject is being offered through English or Irish, then you will be offered a subject through Irish only. The deadline for submitting subject choice forms is next Monday. That's the 4th of April, and the deadline is 12 noon on the 4th of April. The entire process is completed online. So as you can see, this is the online form. It has some very straightforward information. So the student's name, this button here is just the class that they belong to. And that is just if we do have any questions, we can easily identify the student. And then you can see underneath that, you're asked for subject choice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down. And if you click the drop-down menu, you get the list of all subjects that are on offer. If geography is your most favorite, you literally just click it. Then you move on to your second choice. If chemistry is your second choice, you click that, and third choice, and so on. I would encourage you, of course, to consider this very, very carefully so that you make the best possible choice that you can. And bearing in mind, it is the next 2 years of your life. And as I said at the beginning, there is no prize for getting it in first. So please do take your time. If you do have any questions, you are most welcome to connect with anybody across the school, bearing in mind that subject teachers studied these subjects at college. So they might have some very important insights to offer students, and all our teachers, myself included, and Miss Walsh included, and Miss Murray, we all done some time in college and we all studied subjects. And we're very, very happy to discuss subjects with students. So students should be encouraged to discuss options with teachers, and perhaps older siblings, for example, who may have studied those subjects too, could be a good source of information. The final section of the subject choice form you can see here is, would you like to study LCVP? So I'm just going to say a little piece about LCVP. LCVP is the Leaving Certificate Vocational Programme. And nobody should consider the last section of this form until they have selected their subjects first. So the most important part of this process is selecting the subjects in order of priority from 1 to 7. Once that has been completed, then students should consider whether they would like to study the Leaving Cert vocational programme or not. LCVP is an additional component at Leaving Cert. So you still have to select your 7 subjects. You will be offered 4 of them. You'll have to study those 4, plus then English, Irish, Maths. And then once that's done, you may wish to study the LCVP program. And it's quite a popular choice, and it gives a good rounded education and good insight. LCVP, as the name suggests, focuses on the world of work. There are 2 modules in it. One module is called Enterprise Education, and the second is called Preparation for the World of Work. And these are offered at about 3 periods per week at senior cycle. So therefore, it is equivalent, if you want to compare it to a subject, to about half a subject in terms of time allocation on the timetable. It is assessed by means of a portfolio worth 60% and a written exam worth 40%. The portfolio needs to be completed for January of 6th year. So students typically begin it in 5th year and work through it in the first half of 6th year. And then it is submitted to the State Examinations Commission in January of 6th year. The written exam, worth 40%, takes place on the first Wednesday of May in 6th year. So it takes place about a month before the written exams in June. And that means that students that study LCVP have the entire program, the entire assessment piece for LCVP fully completed by early May of 6th year. There is specific subject combinations that students do need to consider. I won't go into in detail here, but students do need to be aware that they must have a particular subject combination in order to study it. Now, the combination is quite broad, and I will publish that tomorrow on the Student Hub so you can see it. So for example, one example would be a student may require 2 science subjects or 2 business subjects, but there are many other combinations as well, which will qualify. So it is important, as I say, that first and foremost that you are considering what subjects you would like to do at senior cycle. And once you have considered that, then consider the possibility of studying LCVP. Okay, so that's the application process. Please don't be left wondering please do contact us and discuss with us. Whether you're a student, do discuss anything or ask any questions that you like of us. And if you're a parent guardian, please do pick up the phone or send us a short email. We will come back to you because this is an important process and it's an important stage to get right. Occasionally, students rush this and submit a form simply to submit the form, and then come back later on, you know, mid-April, late April, and come to the office and say, well, actually, my real preferences are these, and discover that they can do maybe one of them or none of them. And that happens pretty regularly. And that is simply because the timetable is structured in a way that allows students to choose. So the fifth year timetable for next year is not built until this process is fully completed, and it is built based on the feedback and based on the choices that students submit. So again, please do take your time. It's an important decision. Okay. So I'm just keeping an eye there in the chat bar. Just if there is any questions, if you'd like to add them to the chat bar, I'll be most happy to do so. There is one or two questions just around transition year. Students that do transition year make this choice at the end of transition year, so at the same time. Some students who move from third year directly into fifth year obviously make the choice at that juncture. Applications for transition year were received a number of weeks ago, and the work on this side has just been completed. So somebody's asking, when will offers go out? The offers will go out within the next week. If in doubt, I would say submit a subject choice form. There's no problem submitting it because we will be in contact before anything goes any further. So please do feel free to submit it. Again, just to remind you that all tonight's information is available on the Student Hub. It's available right now, and a large part of it, as I say, the slides, the information on individual subjects, along with short video presentations are on that. Just somebody's just asking me, sorry, I was just reading the comment there, just show you that page again, which I'm more than happy to do so. So if you just bear with me 1 second, I'll just pop back up my screen and I'll jump back to the Student Hub, and I'll just come out of that page there. So again, this is the landing page of the Student Hub. And just to take you in there, it's in senior cycle because we're talking about fifth year subjects, so it must be in senior cycle, and it's the options of senior cycle. So senior cycle options. And once you go in there, then this page contains all the information on one page that you will require. And somebody's asking there about the little videos. So they're all in these drop-down boxes, and it is literally a question of clicking the drop-down box. That opens up the window. You've got some brief details on the subject. And again, if you want more details, there's a link at the bottom to bring you to more details. And here, there's a short video. These videos are quite short, but they're quite concise. And typically, they're about 2 to 3 minutes long, but they do contain the key points that students and parents and guardians would need to consider. So I do hope that you found this evening's presentation helpful. I'd like to thank Maura Murray for joining us tonight for a very, very comprehensive overview of the pertinent issues. Again, I would invite you to contact us if you do have any questions. We're only too happy to engage and to help in this process. We view this as very, very important because we do want our students to be happy in school and to be studying subjects that they're interested in and that they like for the full 2 years. And we believe that by doing so, that helps them succeed and dramatically increases their prospects, be that in employment when they finish school or university or third level when they finish school. And that's in all our interest, and that's what we all want, and that's why we're here tonight. So just to say, Garamila Magav, thank you very much to everybody. I wish you the best this evening, and we look forward to seeing our students in school tomorrow morning and seeing parents, guardians soon. Garamila Magav.